All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just hopped in a little early right there on the main stage to take you all through some of the more features that you could explore. Because one intention that I have in mind is, of course, to be hosting you and our distinguished speakers right in the summit, but making sure that you also get some due prizes as you explore and leave your digital footprints right there on the platform. So, this time starting with the networking lounge, the icon that I can see right there at the bottom of my screen. So, as I said, this is going to be a holistic experience for all of you, and something that I keep saying and reiterating is as long as there is no emotional disconnectivity, we are all good to go, irrespective of the medium. While hoping that we host you in person sooner than soon, right now, we are talking about optimization, so why not follow the same when it comes to networking and engaging with your peers right out there. So something like open networking is something that's getting me excited. There's a networking table. When you enter the networking lounge, there's a series of features that you could explore right out there. There are personal meeting rooms as well. It's all a virtual connected space for one-on-one discussions. Of course, you can engage in chats with the partners there as well and exchange business cards. Leadership, just highlight your participation with your active involvement, with the skills intact, and of course the leaderboard right out there. Ramp up your scores. Make sure you're also checking out onto the resource center, the briefcase. So just be abreast with everything that's there on the platform. Even if I miss on highlighting some of the features, I'm sure you are keeping a tab and feeling all good right just there. Well, we will be now heading into a thought leadership talk, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are all set, while yes, I'm getting positively distracted, I think, with the tweets that are flowing in. But yes, as long as we are getting to hear from you and it's a two-way communication, we are all good to go. Well, the next talk is thoughtful. This is going to be about a sustainable future that lies in the intersection of energy, efficiency, and sustainability at the same time. So join me in warmly welcoming, ladies and gentlemen, Saurabh Kumar, the Executive Vice Chairperson, Energy Efficiency Services. That's the EESL group. Saurabh, if you're all set, it's over to you.
Good morning. It's a great pleasure and an honor to be on this platform to discuss something which is extremely important as far as not just India is concerned, but the entire world, which is Vision 2020. How do we maximize efficiency and sustainability? We all know in the past few years, the world has witnessed very extreme climate events, which is actually becoming more regular than it was ever before. We have seen cyclones hitting parts of the world which had never happened in the past. We have seen wildfires in many parts of the world. We have seen large tracts of ice melting in the Arctic, oceans warming. And therefore, the world collectively came together in Paris 2015 to work out a goal to limit the temperature rise to 2% by 2030, with an additional enhanced ambition that we would try and bring it down to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And over the last 1 year, we have seen very heightened and very deep activities virtually throughout the world. And it is absolutely necessary because climate change perhaps poses one of the biggest dangers to humanity than ever before. What is it that we can do? What is it that we can do in a manner that the world that we leave for our children is much better? It's more sustainable. It can withstand. It can correct. So to begin with, let me mention. There have been a lot of studies. The IPCC has been virtually coming out with reports where in some of them they are actually suggesting that some part of the change may not ever reverse, but yet there is a opportunity before the world to correct and do a course correction. While all this is been discussed, talked about, it's also necessary to see, can we look at things simply? Can we make things simpler while at the same time being sustainable and moving towards green? What are the 2 or 3 key elements of this sustainable development agenda? And I know there is a sustainable development goals that the UN has set. All that is fine, but if you really ask me 2 or 3 critical factors that need to be worked upon and need to be really accelerated are as follows. Number 1 is energy efficiency. And why I'm saying that is not because I have been a proponent of energy efficiency for almost a decade and a half. If you look at the last 15 years, the International Energy Agency, which has been analyzing what needs to be done to attain the 2-degree goal. Earlier it was called 450 part ppm scenario, which means the carbon dioxide levels should not exceed 450 parts per million. Now, if you look at any analysis in the last 1.5 decade by International Energy Agency, one thing is absolutely common, that more than 50% of these opportunities lie in energy efficiency worldwide. Further, a very, I would say, a path-breaking analysis done by McKinsey almost the same time, maybe 15 years ago, which is very famously called the McKinsey cost curve, where they have plotted the returns on energy efficiency with investments, and almost 80% of those returns are actually extremely positive. And they call it very famously the negative cost opportunity. These opportunities are lying for countries, for nations, for industries to harness. So that's the first point that I wanted to mention. Second point, we must also be mindful of the fact that 1 in 10 person in this world does not still have access to commercial energy, which means as nations grow, as societies become more modern, the requirement of commercial energy will increase. Now, if a country like India follows a path of development that the entire Western world has done, which is largely based on cheap fossil fuels, I don't think we can ever think of achieving the 2-degree goal that the world has set for us. And also imagine countries in Africa, which are actually behind the development agenda as far as India is concerned. If they were to follow the same path or a similar path, it becomes extremely difficult then to pursue and come to any sort of a sustainable development goals that we have set for ourselves. So therefore, can anything be done? Yes, for sure. There is a need to push renewable energy. There is a need to push renewable energy, not in the form that we are doing at this point in time. Largely, most countries around the world, including India, setting up mega scale solar power plants. Instead, there is a need and focus on innovative models at decentralized level, taking energy and electricity closer to the demand, something which is a complete transformation in the way the energy sector has worked, particularly power sector, for almost 2 centuries, where you have power plants at locations where either coal or gas or hydro resources exist. And then you have long thousands of kilometers of transmission line carrying this power to the load centers. Instead, can we do a complete change and democratize energy? So that's the second point that I wanted to make, and I'll elaborate on all these 2. And let me mention the third point, which is again also extremely critical and important, and that is electrifying transportation. Today, if you see the transportation energy consumption in the country, and I'm including railways into the fold, the overall share of electricity in the fuel mix of transportation is just about 20%. Rest of it is basically oil and gas, which is a much more GHG emitting fuel than electricity. And why I'm saying this, electricity, as you increase the share of renewables, the electricity sector becomes greener and greener, which is really not possible in the oil and gas sector, while there are attempts of mixing biofuel, but still it is largely not going to make very major difference. So coming back to energy efficiency, and I'll elaborate all the 3 points, what the world can do and must do. Maybe the example set by India and a few other countries, and to my mind, Saudi Arabia comes to my mind, UAE in the recent past, which has declared energy efficiency goals, also is something that one needs to look at. But coming back to India, we have shown that energy efficiency is not really a philanthropic activity. It is a serious business which can be scaled up. What are the barriers, therefore, that need to be tackled in order for other societies, other facilities, other countries to do so? And I'll take a leaf out of the 3 countries that I mentioned, which have followed a very similar business cases to scale it up. The problem with energy efficiency is that you can't really measure energy efficiency. And I'll give you an example as to why I'm saying this. All of us know that if I change my CFL with the LED lamp, I will reduce my energy consumption. But why do an entity like EESL had to do an intervention like Ujala to really catalyze the change? And the reason is very simple. LED bulb cost 400 rupees. It used to in 2014 when we started the program. And at that point in time, the CFL cost 100 rupees. While a 14-watt CFL could be replaced by a 7-watt LED bulb, the problem is the second part, which is the energy consumption. So take an example that I come to you and say, I will give you one LED bulb of 7-watt as replacement to your 14-watt CFL. And if you use it for 4 hours a day, you will save about 15 rupees per month. I mean, at an average tariff of about 5 rupees per unit. And therefore, you don't need to bother about investing 400 rupees. You give me 10 rupees, which I'll add to your bill over time, let's say 3 years. And if in those 3 years, your bulb fuses, I will replace it free of cost. Now, I overcome 2 barriers here. First of all, the first, high cost, almost 3 times the difference between CFL and LED. Number 2, for a consumer like you and me, when we go to a shop to buy any equipment and we see a new technology coming up as against something that we are very comfortable with. Here, the analogy is LEDs versus CFLs. I don't know whether the 400 rupee bulb will last how long. So by switching this over, I make sure that your first cost barrier is overcome, and also your information asymmetry about how much and what is the kind of performance of that entity is also taken care of. However, herein lies the problem. Now, as I mentioned to you, I'm replacing the 2 with the presumption that you use it for 4 hours. Now, presuming that since you learned this from me, and you said, oh, that's very nice, but let me use this LED more than what I was using my CFL. And instead of 4 hours, you start using it for 8 hours. You will not have energy savings. So herein lies the fallacy as far as the energy efficiency scaling up is concerned. Different markets have used different techniques to overcome this challenge. For example, the entire Western part, US, Europe, UK, use what is called performance contracts, which are very heavy legal documents that take care of all behavioral issues before to overcome this barrier. The second thing is that the performance is measured through an independent third-party monitoring and verification. Now, these 2 add to the cost. These 2 add to uncertainties as far as the investment cycle is concerned. And therefore, what we did very clearly is what is now known as the deemed and demonstrated savings approach. And we followed this up in a very simple, easy to comprehend manner in the street light program. And let me tell you that we are the largest street light owning company in the world. We have nearly 1.2 crore street light that we have replaced in the country. And so what we did was, if you ever look at notice on the road, the street lights are usually at the center median of the road, and they have two arms on each side of the road. So what we did in many municipal bodies is that we asked them, can you give us a stretch of your road? And on that stretch, on one side we changed whatever fixture was there with an appropriate LED fixture, and the other side remained as it is. And then we asked the municipal body that please do as much verification as you want, as much measurement as you want of what has been the energy savings, what is the light output difference, and you can get it ratified by an external agency and an expert, whatever. We said that we will guarantee you 50% energy saving. If you don't find 50%, don't give us the project. But once you agree that this savings is happening, thereafter my payments will not be linked to savings. And that's how we got rid, we actually dissociated the monitoring and verification, which cast a big question mark on the return on investment with my investment. And that is how we were able to scale up. So in a nutshell, what is needed is that governments must come out with very standard policy regulations as to how do you measure energy efficiency. And deemed savings seems to be the only approach which can scale up. So that's my first point, and there is a need for an international consensus on this. I've said this in the past that the world has seen several cooperation in the area of renewable energy, in the area of energy. For example, you have an international intergovernmental body called IRENA for renewable energy. You have a specific international solar alliance led by India for solar. But we don't have any international cooperation on energy efficiency, which is quite strange to me, given that more than half of your mitigation opportunities actually lies in energy efficiency, of which almost 70% are opportunities that I just mentioned. Two of them I just mentioned. These are negative cost opportunities. It actually pays to invest in energy efficiency. So to sum up on this section, yes, we need a renewed focus on energy efficiency. There has to be an international effort. And I hope in Glasgow, the world will start at least discussions on how to scale this up. Let me turn to the second point, which is clean energy. And again, I'll take a leaf out of what EESL has been doing. And it's not necessary that the same thing needs to be replicated. But yes, it's an important lesson that could be learned from what we have been doing. So we have been implementing decentralized solar power plants in rural areas of Maharashtra, and we are now going to start in a couple of other states. Here we are using land which are degraded, belongs to the government, and small power plants between 0.5 megawatt to a maximum of 8 megawatt are being put up right next to the load center. What we are doing thereafter is, and we are providing this electricity at 3 rupees per unit, which is among the cheapest decentralized electricity that you will ever find. And please don't compare this with 1.99 rupee tariff that has been discovered. These are mega power plants, and they use the transmission network, and by the time they come to a DISCOM bus bar and to the load center, their actual cost goes beyond 5 rupees. What we are doing in Maharashtra is that we are adding a small battery to the power plant. We are replacing the street lights in the vicinity of that village, and also providing rural households LED bulbs and other efficient equipment. All this cost is amortized over a power purchase agreement. And therefore, at about 3.87 rupee per unit, I am able to A, provide sustainable electricity to a village. B, I am able to enhance the efficiency of the households and increase the reliability of power. Now, this has several use cases across India to begin with. You can include agriculture pumps. You can include a host of other equipment that a rural modern home may need in the future. And most of all, the energy that is being used is renewable energy. And therefore, we are firmly on the agenda of the renewable energy plus energy efficiency. The third point which I wanted to end with is of course greening of transportation. And again, worldwide there have been extremely big efforts to promote electric vehicles. Europe, China have led the way, even the US. But I must also say that government of India has taken some very path-breaking initiatives, and not just promoting four wheelers, but a whole emphasis is on greening the 2-3 wheelers and also the public transportation. You might just be aware that in the month of June, the FAME 2 scheme, which has an allocation of 10,000 crores for subsidizing electric vehicles, has been remodeled, and EESL has been made the nodal agency to aggregate 3 lakh three-wheelers in the coming 2.5 years, and nearly about 10,000 electric buses in 4 million plus cities. The whole idea is this is the first step to promote in large numbers switch over from IC engine vehicles to electric vehicles. Again, just like energy efficiency, driving an electric vehicle, whichever, either 2-wheelers or 3-wheelers or 4-wheelers or even buses, is almost 1/6 the cost of a petrol or a diesel driven vehicle. Therefore, for a consumer, it makes a lot of economic sense. Number two, as your renewable energy increases in the grid, and as you all know, India has committed that 40% of its energy in 2030 will be from renewables, your emissions from these vehicles will significantly go down. And therefore, it is necessary to continue this push. And it will be unfair to only expect governments to lead the way. I would, on this forum, urge everyone who's part of this seminar that it is not just government's duty to promote sustainability. It is a duty of everyone on this planet, because it is us who will ultimately lead the way and show to our children that we have done our bit to save whatever we can of the planet. So I would like to once again thank everyone for inviting me, and I would be very happy to get the genesis of what has been discussed in this very important seminar. But I would really urge everyone to immediately look at how can we contribute to this whole sustainability agenda by adopting efficient equipment, by switching over to electric mobility, and also promoting, in our small way, renewable energy development in this country. Thank you very much.
Saurabh, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. And ladies and gentlemen, I do hope that those were some fresh perspectives for you all. And allow me now to please humbly assign to you all a little task of checking out the resource center. So let all of us do that together. Right now, I will just be right back, bringing forth our global speaker on board. See you.